Hey Andy, how you doing?
It's a rough start. Hey, Patrick.
Yeah.
Oh, welcome to the year in review 2022.
And what a year it has been, hasn't it been? A fantastic year.
It has been a year. It's been a great
Yeah,
year for themed entertainment, that's for sure.
pretty. All my social medias are going off because the show just went live, so I'm just like trying to turn off noises. But yeah, what a crazy year it's been. 2020. We started this whole network in 2020. We turned two. Been a pretty big year for us overall for the network. Really excited about that. And we have I know we have a whole different things we want to talk about, but what's been going on with you? It's been a while since we've chatted.
Yeah, I've just been, working on a few projects and, the annual following up after IAPA
Yeah,
flurry of, days and days of emails and texts and phone calls and thank you notes and all that kind of stuff. I typically wait until after Thanksgiving. I know some people, they get back on the following Monday and it's like,
yeah,
but yeah, no, it's been great. I'm really looking forward to next year. I feel like this year was sort of like, the year that like, sort of like the on ramp for the industry or the runway, just finally, you know, taking off after the thick of the pandemic. I mean, I'm not going to say the pandemic is over. That's very ableist, but I have a really good feeling about next year, and a lot of good stuff happened this year. That's for sure.
yeah. Well, and I think that's it's probably freshest in our minds. Just IAPA.
Mm,
You and I were both there. We had the TV party at Health and Moon, which was a lot of fun. A lot of people came out for that.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, last year for IAPA definitely felt kind of like a half-mast. The flag's upside down. It's did stress signals out. Everyone's kind of like, a lot of people weren't working, not a lot of business, and it to me, I felt like the vibe this year was definitely kind of like we're back and we have a lot of work that's coming out soon, right? So
yeah, yeah.
that
I'm
was
really glad. I'm
great.
really glad I didn't go to 2021 IAPA because I know it was like sad IAPA, But this year was like just guns blazing, full bore, high octane.
Yeah.
We're back, baby.
Well, and I kind of did a limited schedule this year because I gift apply. But it was good. No, it's always great to see people and to meet new friends and see old friends and
Mm.
really, I think things are pretty optimistic. But there's still a lot of people that are out of work. I know. I personally know a lot of people that are out of work. I know people who aren't operating at full capacity, right? So it's always kind of like this cool, but also not forgetting that the industry is still grinding along.
Well, yeah, I mean, I had a lot of conversations with IAPA about we've got some really great stuff coming up next year
Right.
for from my end of the business at least, and most people know I do music and sound and stuff and media, and that's often towards the second half or last third of a project, where it really gets
But yeah,
kicked off. I had a lot of conversations with IAPA about we've got some. Oh, that was weird. Did you hear that?
yeah, keep going.
Oh, was that from your thing? Oh, sorry. Um, anyway, I had a lot of conversations about people have a lot of projects coming up, early next year, things like that. So yeah, I do. This is a really slow year for work for me. I scraped by, like everybody else, but really optimistic about next year for sure, and I'm excited. We could talk about that on our prediction show. Tune in next month for that.
Yeah, looking forward to that. So last year we did a ton of predictions, and we're gonna eat crow. We're gonna watch those. I actually did watch it the other night because I wanted to make sure that we didn't have too much overlap for this show. But it's gonna be a lot of fun to do that. So yeah, next month we're gonna do that. So stay tuned. Um, but yeah, I think that things are I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, me
Um,
too.
you,
Same.
and it's good to see that. And I think a good kind of barometer for that is just all the people who have you know kind of gotten work. Even people who work with this network. A lot of our people are now working, which is cool. Most of our producer team, actually, they're all working now, which is really great, right? And so
You'll never hear me about our producers being too busy, because I'm just so happy that most of the people that have come and gone from TETV have found some sort of full-time work. It's great. I'm really personally proud of that.
Yeah, no, it's really good. So IAPA buzz was good. The booth was flowing. It was full. As far as I looked, it seemed like a very full, very well attended IAPA. I know we had our IAPA preview show and all that, which was really great. And Andy was great running around with you a few times and and catching up as always. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think my favorite takeaway from IAPA, from the show floor at least, was the sheer amount of pinball that was on the show floor. I'm a big pinball fan. I used to have pinball machines, and I really was shocked at the 3 or 4 new vendors with several new models, and I played pinball for several hours over the course of the week, and pretty much never the same machine twice unless I wanted to. And it was very exciting. I was very excited about that, and real pinball too, not just the virtual shit. No,
that's good. Yeah, my IAPA show floor time is very limited, so I didn't get to see any of the fun goodies, but it's good to see. So about us, we had a great year, and we kind of equates to basically every attraction that opened here in Orlando, we got to feature on TETV. So we had Peppa Pig Park, that's at Legoland here. That was a great show. We had Icebreaker from SeaWorld. They came on, which was also fantastic. And of course, Guardians of the Galaxy, which opened, and we'll talk more about that and the reception of that on the next show in January, because we both made predictions on that about how it would be received. But so we'll kind of leave it at that. But obviously, that was great to have them on, and we look forward to having more Disney projects featured in the future, which is all in the works, which is really fantastic.
Yeah, one of the coolest, I think, most Instagram and Twitter were the surprise openings was the light show on Spaceship Earth at Epcot. Yeah. And we're hoping to have Jason Reed, the lighting designer from that show, on our show next year as well. So look out for that.
Yeah, and there are a few kind of other sleeper things that opened. I'd probably say, and it's actually kind of recent. The Universal Escape Rooms opened up
this weekend.
This past weekend. I don't know if I'll ever go or when I'll go or what have you. But I got a comment on this. Go ahead, CJ, put that up. Just the fact that how much of this is ripping off of the Great Movie Ride.
Right. Yeah.
I got to say, on just the overall styling of it, I will say I was a big I used to go to the Groove, which is where this is now at the nightclub, and used to have fun and
oh, that's where it is. I didn't know.
Yeah, so
I was just about to ask where it was.
Yeah, and so it's always sad to see the Pleasure Island die a little bit more and more and more as we go on in the years, but this COVID killed it. So nightclub was killed by this. I'm not seeing it, but for those that don't know, they have a escape experience of sorts. It's been called kind of like a walkthrough where you solve puzzles.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it can really be called an escape room if you can't lose.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing because I went to a place called the Bureau here in Orlando for a Halloween party, and it seems like it was pretty similar. Of you go from room to room, and there were a lot of rooms, so you go from room to room and kind of keep going through the experience, and you kind of keep walking through, but there's a whole narrative, and so it's kind of like the next evolution of how do we keep capacity up and not just have people staying in a room for X amount. So I thought it was a goof, at least the Bureau in Orlando, unrelated to this. But I mean, I gotta say, after dark, it's after $60.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know. I'm in this position where I don't even really know what theme parks cost these days, unless a random day where I'm not using an annual pass or I'm not using, sign in or whatever. And $60, that's for an hour or 90-minute experience. That feels a little, that's a lot. And I heard there's no live actors too. So, I mean, it's would I rather go to pay a little bit more and go to Hoop Doo Review and get a full meal, full alcohol, full everything, or go to a I don't know. I mean, it'd be interesting to hear what the audience thinks about escape rooms in general. What is your take on escape rooms?
Well, I happen to be working on some escape rooms right now. Not these escape rooms, but some other ones. And I can tell you, I haven't actually worked on one before, and this is a surprising amount of work that goes into them that I hadn't really considered. From not just the writing of the puzzles and the creation of everything, but the props and then just the challenge of operating them as well, especially when you have live actors, which most don't, but some do. And from what I've gathered, the $60 is on the high end, but not out of the question for escape rooms in general, especially in a tourism market. I mean, you get here in LA and like the Valley, we have, I don't know, 20 or 30 escape rooms. We have a lot, but they're not for tourists, they're for locals. So it's like, $40.
Yeah. And up to this point, I don't.
And they're not IP too. They're not, Jurassic Park.
Well, and I'll just say, I hadn't really heard of, for me, an escape room was like maybe a $25 thing. And then I went to look at what the bureau was, because I was like, okay, well, they're charging $60 with the bureau, and they're essentially charging $41 to $42 for there. So I'm like, okay, I guess that's it. And just in general, I think what's really cool is that themed entertainment is so out of hands, or out of the hands of people to really do, but escape rooms and haunted attractions feel attainable for people, and it's all the same principles. It's all storytelling, thematic design, and like you said, there is an added level of game that is there. So I think it's cool to see, and I appreciate to see how it all evolves. I think it's just a matter of like, how do you pay off on it, and when you tie an IP to it, there's a lot of expectations that come with it. Especially when you're competing with Velocicoaster, or Back to the Future the ride, or that mindset of it, like the level of theming.
And now there's the new kinds of things that with the I recently did the Stranger Things experience here in Los Angeles. It's been traveling around. Started in San Francisco, and I think it's been in London as well. Full disclosure, I have a lot of friends that worked on it, people that and that I know, both of us. Yeah. And it was not only did it have some escapee room elements to it, there were a couple of puzzles and audience interaction kind of stuff, but very light. I think probably more towards the kind of experience that the Universal escape rooms are. But this had live actors and fully immersive sets and theatrical lighting and some incredible media and great audio, and included most of the main actors, the kids from the show. It was really, really elaborate, and I can't recall exactly how much it is. I think I want to say it's like $80.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't pay. I went with one of the senior producers, and and it was actually really great. And because they had this whole after the experience, like sort of hangout space, like a bar and food and beverage and merchandise and stuff, and like Instagram spots where you can pose with the Demogorgon and pose with Vecna and all that kind of stuff. We were there for 2 or 3 hours between getting into the building and going into the pre-show and having a bite to eat and having a couple of drinks. We were there for it was like a 3-hour experience for like whatever it is, $70-$80. And if I had, one of the big discussions amongst the group was like, if you had paid $80 for this, would you feel as though you got your money's worth? And I think absolutely we would have.
Well, and that's an interesting, discussion, and we'll talk about Disney and a lot of things that happen with Disney a little bit later, but just, it's common that people throw out, oh, well, a day at Disney costs $100 and X dollars, and go to a ski slope, it costs this much, and to go to this, and like but it is hard to comp things, so if you're fully engulfed in an immersive experience, $80 seems like a steal. It's like, oh yeah, I want this level. Like you're almost going to a Broadway or a show,
Right. Well, in a Broadway show, you're not getting into for less than $100.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of the thing. So when I haven't been on this experience, so I don't want to negate it in any way, but when I was at the Bureau, the Bureau that no one's ever heard of, they had live actors in every scene. So in my head, I'm like, they are paying this person X amount of dollars an hour, and there's nothing that's ever going to change that about the value that a live actor brings to an experience. So definitely a bit surprised to hear that.
Were they good? Was it effective?
I mean, God bless them. They're in character, and it's fun, and they're whimsical, and they're engaging, and it was a group of a bunch of gay drunk guys that I was with. So I mean, I appreciate. So I just appreciate it
Yeah,
And
you appreciate the effort that goes into it.
yeah, and in a town like Orlando, you can't throw a stone and not find an actor that's willing to, give it their all, So, yeah, just an interesting perspective. We'll see how it evolves, but you can imagine that, even if there was a character that like is the movie prop or the movie host or whatever, and he's like a main character inviting you in, and then there's another like you could easily. I know it costs a lot of money to do these things, but I think it's important to have that human touch, even just a little bit along the way. So we'll see. I don't know if I'll ever experience it. I probably sure at some point I will, but it was interesting to hear that it didn't have any live actors as part of it with that price tag.
Talking about this out loud, it makes me think like maybe we should do a show about these sort of like escape room themed brand experiences, kind of thing. Get some people on to talk about that. I'd love to.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, I'm sure we could try to track somebody down who's worked on these. I know a few people who've worked on escape rooms, and I know you do as well. So that's a great topic. Because as CJ's typing in the background, new show idea, escape rooms.
Yeah. We have our show document down here, and it was like, oh, thanks.
Well, I think we're going to see it's the convergence of puzzles and games and all those things. We a good friend of ours, Dave Cobb, who started working for a company that's doing gamey type stuff, and all these
Tabletop.
things. All these things are going to converge into just like these really cool experiences. So before we move on, just kind of trends in the industry, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the metaverse. So it's been a buzzword. Michael Libby, friend of the show, friend of ours, he's always on whatever TEA talking about the metaverse. And, you can't mention it's and literally Facebook and Instagram changed their name to be Meta to try to own the metaverse. And they're, whenever they show a video, it's like some random weird thing. And then with that, I think we should parlay into AI, because that's actually a really interesting game changer that we're all seeing. That's hit with the illustration or writing. So what do you think about the metaverse, Andy?
CJ, we're definitely going to talk about ChatGPT. And I don't know if you saw the prompts that I fed into it and what the responses that I got. It was nauseatingly shocking. Anyway, but metaverse, I don't know. It makes me think of that meme of stop trying to make blank happen. I think that, Zuckerberg is like, stop trying to make the metaverse happen, because people aren't ready for it. The hardware, the infrastructure, the software is not there yet. The mass appeal of VR and wearing headsets as like a daily thing for hours at a time, I think is literally decades away. I think it's still a very niche technology for the privileged tech elite. I do know a lot of people that spend a lot of time in VR and headsets and stuff, but that's for highly, highly specialized architecture, engineering, and design applications. And I'm not sure it's ready for prime time yet. I mean, and also, I'm shocked at how little people are discussing things like Second Life, which I was a small part of. By a part of, I mean I was a participant in it. I didn't have anything to do with the creation of it or anything like that, but I was on it briefly, and I know people that met and got married on it in real life, and that was sort of like the metaverse before VR and AR. It was just on your computer screen, on your standard def computer screen. And you had an avatar, and it was this 3D world, and you could, buy and design your own clothes and change your appearance and live in a house of your own design and on, your virtual property and all this kind of stuff. And it's just like they're trying to make this sound like this is like some big new idea that Mark Zuckerberg has invented, and it's so half baked coming out of the gate as it is. And they've spent like $20 billion or some astronomical amount on developing this, and it just kind of looks dumb, and like, who's it for, really?
Yeah, I mean,
that's my unhinged rant about the metaverse.
Well, yeah, it's an interesting thing, because I have the same opinion as you. Like, it feels like it's the new VR of the 90s, when all we heard about was VR.
Yeah.
And it's going to be the latest and greatest. Disney Quest is going to Hey, Deck, how you doing? And next thing you know, it's in every mall, and then it's out of every mall, kind of like a flavor of the month kind of thing almost. And then we had the resurgence of VR on roller coasters and experiences and all that. once the Oculus came out and you could get it down to a reasonable size, and that came and went. And I just think fundamentally there are different entertainment sectors that all do similar things, but they have a unique group of people that are very interested in that. So, for example, video games and depending, I mean, I play games on my iPhone all the time, but they're puzzle games, right? So, but role-playing games and stepping into things and, the latest system and, World of Warcraft. I don't know if that's still a relevant game or not, but
it is. A lot of people still play it.
Okay, cool. So it's like that's stepping into role-playing. And so I feel like for that, it's a feature, but not the product that it really comes down to, VR. So when we talk about recreating the world in the real world, I just don't get. It's the kind of why and what are we doing, and until you can kind of like just like put a nod, or what do they call it? Like a little thing in a node into my head and transfer me somewhere, and it feels real. You're always going to have it being not reality and not as engaging as the real world, or specifically with us in entertainment, where we make our living creating new worlds and storytelling. So it's an interesting thing to see, almost like the battle of like immersive environments versus screens. Okay, we're gonna, is that happening? Is it being blended right? Or is it just it's a tool? So I'm pretty just kind of ignoring. I don't want to say I'm ignoring it. I'm just kind of like, okay, I don't know, what it's gonna do for us. I think I have my head wrapped around it a little bit. It just seems like a lot of like almost like a fad in a way, but I don't even know if it's the right level of fad because I don't know who's using it or interested in using it. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's really gonna. We're so far from like the Oasis from Ready Player One and Ready Player Two. Yeah. For me, in my mind, like when it's that, okay, I'm in. Sure. Right. But and then you're still going to have people like us creating content, like designers creating experiences in the metaverse. But it's going to be a whole different set of tools, not only in terms of design and production, but like we have been trained our entire careers to devise experiences that are actually physically buildable within a budget. And if you're designing for the metaverse, there is no budget. There are no physical constraints, for gravity, physical forces, building buildings and, light, etc. So, when the sky's the limit in terms of design, then I think that, it's going to be a totally different ballgame. And also the other thing too is that like the metaverse already feels like another grift, like NFTs, because with the real estate boom, the virtual real estate boom, if you will, of people buying up, millions of real dollars worth of this virtual real estate, as speculations, speculators. It just feels like, oh, great, now this.
Yeah, I mean, and so we'll. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, we should get Michael Libby to come on here and give his whole speech about it, because to give a fair shot. I'm just very much like, okay, what is this? Why is this? And what maybe I'm just not in the right demographic. I'm sure that if I play video games role playing, I'd want to do that. But even then, like I'm okay with just playing a controller. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. You kind of hinted at this. A bit about AI and the importance of humans, but gosh, if you have not heard of Chat GPT, this is by open source, so kind of like a whole AI experiment. Elon Musk founded it with several other people. I just mentioned him because he's controversial these days. Is my screen sharing? Can you? Yeah, you can see it. So this is how it works. You just say whatever you want in here, and it'll write it.
So I'm gonna read one of the ones that I put in.
Yeah.
If you're friends with me on Facebook, you've already seen this, but I think most people watching aren't. But here's the prompt that I put in: create a detailed treatment for an energetic musical theme park parade based on the sinking of the Titanic.
Wait,
And
hold on. Can you slow down and say that again?
it's create a detailed treatment for an energetic musical theme park parade based on the sinking of the Titanic. And it immediately spit out this treatment title.
Hey, Andy, I'm doing it in real time. You see on the screen, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We'll see what it spits out.
What was it again? An energetic theme park parade for
An energetic musical theme park parade based on the sinking of the Titanic. Let's see what it is, if it comes up with the same thing that it already did for me.
Learning. Titanic. Okay. It just does future flows.
That is different from what I have.
It's learning.
Balloons and streamers. Oh my gosh. Wow, this is much longer than the one that I have as well.
Yeah. So now I can add an adjustment. I can say make the parade a ride. Yeah, everybody, you need to go on here and just experience it because it's really nothing I've ever seen like it.
Yeah. This is amazing. As the coaster reaches the midpoint of the ride.
Yeah,
I was talking with Julie Depew about this, and I was just, especially with the treatment that I got for the parade. It's basically like it's a document that you would have normally paid $500 for. You would have paid somebody like Julie or you $500 for this.
Yeah, I mean, everybody, you need to go online and watch this or do it yourself. And I think what's really startling about this is that you can go in here and say, write a marketing email for this parade.
Apparently,
you can go round robin on this.
Apparently, a lot of people are using it to generate code as well for programming, which is incredible. Oh, it's still going.
You can write. Yeah, I don't want to read anything like that. Yeah, so now it's doing this. It's doing marketing copy for it.
And I have to say this. I'm not going to name names to protect the innocent, but I know at least one person who is using this tool and, Midjourney 4 to generate early concept for experiences as a jumping off point for the team.
Well, and it's interesting, and I highly recommend anybody to do this. We'll have to put it in the comments if we haven't already done it.
CJ wrote in our private chat, write an outline for a projection show. I tried to get it to write a Lagoon show based on Human Centipede, and it wouldn't do it. It said it was inappropriate.
All right, I'm so sorry, my screen right. Right. Well, I'll do it differently. Lagoon show for Titanic. Right. Hey, I could do this for 3 hours.
Yeah, I did do it for 3 hours.
The other part of the show, if you bring it projection of the Titanic, don't make sense. Yeah, I mean, this is crazy. I mean, really.
Yeah, it's insane. It's completely insane.
I think that there's always been this thing in my head of like, yeah, I'm a writer. I do theme park writing and all that. And
not for long.
What's that?
Not for long.
And I said, I can do this, and this is a safe job because it's X.
I had this thing write a 10-scene individual scene synopsis of a dark ride based on the novel of Mice and Men, and then I had it write a 10-scene treatment, a detailed 10-scene treatment for a flume ride based on California tax law.
Actually, okay, hold on. Create a. I gotta stop doing this. Actually, create a Canadian theme park.
Oh, we did a Netflix theme park too, and it was just like, oh, Stranger Things and Westworld and blah blah blah. It was or whatever. It was just holy shit.
Diverse culture now, the part of a future thing. Really. So, I mean, I think that it gives you kind of a framework. I do think it's not there all the way. It is interesting to be in we're in kind of in such a specific industry that anytime that anything comes close to kind of doing writing, it's one thing to do a marketing email, it's one thing to do another thing, and marketing copy, but like it's kind of understand what a roller coaster is and what you need to do on a roller coaster. Pretty impressive overall.
Well, how do we feel about visual AI artwork stuff now, like with Midjourneys and DALL-E and all that? Essentially scraping the web for other people's work and synthesizing from specific artworks.
Well, I mean,
without consent.
We can put that kind of ethics aside. I think what's interesting is when you look at technology and how it enhances what we do. And graphic designers used to do it by hand, and then they had Photoshop and Illustrator, and it made the time that it took for them to do work much quicker. But we know the devil's in the details, and really having to know what you're doing. You can look to that also in writing. So there's spell check, there's word processing, there's Grammarly, which starts to pick up on things. So I think these tools are going to be there. What's different is this is about content, creativity, creation, and pulling your experiences from life that we used to hold so dear and think that's why we're different. Now it pulls into the system and kind of gives you something. I don't think it's perfect, obviously. I think it's an interesting framework. Like if I was starting to work on a project and an IP I had no idea, I'd type it in, just say, hey, do a X theme park, and then just see what it says. And it'd probably pull a bunch of characters I didn't realize that maybe were important. My sister's very into Xena Warrior Princess, so I would type in a Xena Warrior Princess theme park. Also had to do like an article debating whether or not Gabrielle and Xena should be together. I did that, and it did a whole article. It's pretty crazy technology. So
wow,
I'd say that for people writers, like it is filling in a lot of blanks. And where I think I can bring my value, and I'd say this to anybody that's a theme park designer watching, is it's time to load up the toolbox even more. So, or your knowledge base. So, if you're currently looking for work, don't have a job, never worked in a theme park, go work at a theme park. That kind of knowledge of operations and spatial. And right now, an AI is not going to be able to pick that up. And what's buildable, right? So you can go to a concept art and say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and draw this, and it may do something really spectacular, but is it going to know what the rough budget is? There's things like that aren't here now. So maybe we have a few years on that front to keep it going, and then we'll just be maintaining the robots as they design experiences for it.
I'm hoping that they don't come from music, the kind of music that I do, at least for a while. Oh, give me a few years to build up my 401k some more.
Yeah. So it's definitely worth testing out. It's very interesting. So let's switch gears here a little bit. Love to talk about maybe a couple industry nods. So we had the Lost Island theme park won the THEA award.
No, the volcano ride at
I'll talk about that a little bit, Andy.
Yeah, our friends at Sally created this really cool interactive dark ride at this brand new theme park. I think it's in, was it Wisconsin, Indiana, somewhere? I can't remember. I should have had that ready to go. Anyway, new theme park opened this year. Regional theme park, small local theme park, but a theme park nonetheless, and it's rare when a new one from scratch actually opens, and this one did, and that included this incredibly cool dark ride that just won a THEA award for I think best dark ride or limited budget, maybe. Again, I should have had this ready to go, but I just think it's great that congratulations to our friends at Sally for that.
Yeah, we know that they got the promotion for Chief Creative Officer at Sally.
Yes, Rich Hill ascended to Chief Creative Officer.
Yeah, and there's people you meet in this industry are like the nicest people in the world. Rich Hill's like one of the nicest people in the world. So
absolutely,
congratulations to him on that promotion, ascending as you say. And then, kind of drilling in, there were a couple other announcements. There's so much Saudi work going on right now.
Yes.
Qiddiya and something posts on LinkedIn, and then you're like, oh, I thought I was working on that project. They're everywhere. They're doing their big 2030 push to revitalize. They're standing in the world and bringing entertainment to their people, which is exciting, and lots of work for our industry. So congratulations to those for announcements, and it's along the way, Andy. I'm sure you'll touch it as well as it keeps going through. So, are any thoughts on that, Andy? Or
no, I mean, yeah, Seven made the big announcement with the giant FECs that they're building all over the country. Thinkwell has designed with them, and it's big news. We're gonna hopefully be getting to work on that as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, and that kind of gives us the major announcements that came this year. We haven't really touched on Disney, and I would love to chat about Disney for a little bit. Universal, they're humming along. Epic Universe is coming. Minions announced. We kind of know all these things, but nothing major was really open this year. Unless I already forgot it. But Velocicoaster is the last one. There was a lot of action at Disney, but Disney and Universal all had record profits. So, in some cases at the expense of other places of their business.
Yeah.
So our industry has always been the cash cow, right? People go to theme parks, they enjoy them, they want to be coming to us. So we're always there for them, except when it comes to the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
But people are going. They're getting as much profits as possible.
Yeah, pent-up demand was a real thing.
Yeah, pent-up demand. And, I think what's interesting is we had some pretty big campaigns and big announcements, and I'm going to try to do this in chronological order. We had the Walt Disney World 50th anniversary, and I got to tell you, I worked at Disneyland during the 50th anniversary, and it was huge.
And I was there weekly, and it transformed everything. It completely transformed the experience.
Yeah, and I don't like to be too grandiose when I speak about things, but after 2001, the travel industry really took a hit, so it wasn't it was crowded. Maintenance had kind of fallen into disregard with the Paul Presley era, Cynthia Harris era. Things were not looking too hot, and then
it was a dark time.
It was a dark time, and then they really fast tracked a lot of things, maintenance and getting the park up to snuff, and they really opened with only Buzz Lightyear was a little bit earlier in 2005, in April, or maybe it was March. It was actually opened in March, and then Space Mountain, and they opened with the fireworks and the parade, and the way they handled that campaign, the nostalgia, all of it. Remember Dreams Come True, which is to me the best fireworks show, night fireworks show ever created.
Yep.
Original version. It's not even close.
Yeah, I agree.
It was game. I never thought a fireworks show could do that. It's one of those moments where you're just like, wait, what just happened? I saw that show over probably 200 times because I worked it.
Yeah.
But I first, when I saw it, I guess on May 4th, or May 3rd, the preview day, whatever it was, when they were doing something, I'm blown away. Wow. The Matterhorn is battling Frontierland right now during you're just like, wait, what? It was stunning.
Yeah.
And so my expectations were met with, okay, a new ride and a fireworks show and nostalgia, play up on that, all the retro merch. So then we got the 50th anniversary at Walt Disney World that came, and basically at this point kind of came and went. And it's very just very interesting to see how they handled it. And I'm just going to speak freely because they've already acknowledged it. But Harmonious and what I don't actually know. I don't remember what Enchantment.
Happily Ever After. Oh,
I think it's called Enchantment right now at Magic Kingdom. But they acknowledge that those shows are going away. So
yeah.
They brought these, and we could probably chatter about what was actually going to be during the pandemic and what they pushed out to be now. Like Harmonious, but it was very interesting to see them, Josh tomorrow kind of almost laugh it off, like, well, we're getting rid of Harmonious.
Yeah, it was so funny. The D23 Parks and Resorts presentation, and Josh was like, "Harmonious is out," and everybody just jumped to their feet.
Yeah,
You never seen people so happy, huh?
Did you ever get a chance to watch Harmonious?
Not in person, no.
Yeah, it actually picks up better on video than it does in person.
Oh wow, I would have thought the opposite.
It's so very interesting to see the 50th anniversary kind of coming by without a kind of not really an identity, not really knowing what it. I mean, kind of disappointing from my point of view. Having been a cast member and a fan and had that nostalgia, and then they acknowledged it was almost like the Fast and the Furious moment at IAPA last year. Oh, you weren't there when I think Terry or Mark Woodbury acknowledged the Fast and the Furious. Just they shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, I mean, it was shocking to me, and I'm sure disappointing to a lot of people that they didn't capitalize on the nostalgia of the anniversary and what it means, to generations of families that have been going there for 50 years, and whole generations of families going sometimes dozens of times.
Yeah.
I mean, our friend and friend of the show, Damian Montanil, he told me that if when he was at IAPA, if he had gone to a Disney park, I don't think he did, it would have been his 50th trip from New Jersey. When he was growing up in New Jersey, his family went so often that would have been his 50th trip to the resort, which is incredible for somebody who doesn't live in Florida.
Yeah, no, it is, and I mean, there's kind of one of those things, you can't really go back, that we have 150th to live,
Right.
But it happened, I feel like if they just would have done their version of Remember Dreams Come True, I mean, you could have lifted most of the show. And it'd be a real celebration of Magic Kingdom and all the part, I don't know. Someone needs to pay me to go in there and rattle some cages.
Or feed it into ChatGPT.
Oh, that's interesting. Create a 50th anniversary for. All right,
here we go.
Oh my gosh, we're gonna do it. All right. All right, here we go. You guys can see the screen. Create a 50th anniversary show for Walt Disney World fireworks. Okay, hold on, I gotta actually do this nice spot. 50th anniversary fireworks show for Walt Disney World. That is located at Magic Kingdom. Should I say it's nostalgic or just leave it at that?
I think you should say nostalgic. Or not. Maybe wait for the nostalgia.
I'll say add more to nostalgia.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Create a 50th anniversary fireworks show for Walt Disney. Here we go. Buckle up. Yeah, even they do it.
Park storied history.
Yeah.
Yep.
Park's history. It's a float. I don't know. Something happened here. Wow, that's a little creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, well, the first few one of these that I did, I had that nausea that you get from total cognitive dissonance.
Yeah. Let's add more fireworks.
Add more nostalgia.
Fireworks. Yeah, so, it's no Steve Davidson, okay? Yeah. Drones. All right, so interesting to see that and kind of the acknowledgement about that. Kind of, I don't know, was it kind of a fizzle? But coming off of COVID, kind of a challenge. So yeah, Harmonious is gone. Okay, so Happy Ever After, I think it's coming back.
Yeah, that's right.
And that leads to really.
Now we're starting to edge into predictions.
Yeah, no, I mean, I will say that the news that rocked the world happened, I think, coming just off IAPA, right a Sunday after IAPA. Bob Chapek unceremoniously fired or left or asked to leave or whatever speak there is for that kind of thing. I mean, an unceremonious is an understatement for the way that it was handled, at least publicly, for him getting out of there. Bob Iger coming in, basically to right the ship. Yeah, Alex Grayman said, oh gosh, I was blood, but R.I.P. Bob, long live Bob. I got to look it up. It was funnier than that, but just the fact that it's Bob for Bob. But
New Bob, same as old Bob.
Bob Iger's in, Bob Chapek out, and really, probably the biggest theme park news or news in Disney in general we've had since Epic Universe was announced. Where were you when you heard that? Bob
So
Chapek?
I feel like I was at ground zero of this because I was at Dodger Stadium.
Yeah, you're
for the final Elton John farewell tour concert for North America, and I was there with like Dave Cobb and MK Haley and a whole bunch of other people. We were all there, and Jason McManus was the first person to text me, and then when I joined the group, it was, those scenes in movies like in the White House press room when some sort of horrible global calamity happens and everyone's phones go off at the same time. It was like that. Everyone's phones were just blowing up.
Yeah.
And what's funny is that later we learned that Bob Chapek was supposed to introduce Elton John.
Right. Yeah.
And then obviously that didn't happen. And I've also since heard that down at the Disney box, the Disney Plus box, who's that guy who used to run DPEP he was in the hospitality suite there and just quietly walked out and left.
That was his right hand man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very crazy. I mean, if you would have told me this would happen, I would have said no, because you never see swift movement by anybody ever, right? And so this wasn't because of the Disney park reservation system, although they won't return my letters. There was a really horrendous earnings call. Disney Plus is losing money. Not a shocker, but it's losing money.
Stock is at a historic low.
Yeah, stock's at a historic. It's hard to know because of the whole stock split thing. When I was at Disney, when I was at Disney, it may have been like in the 20s or maybe it got to the 80s. It's hard to tell it's always split the stock and it's hard to tell.
Splits, yeah.
But really, my phone blew up. My friends that work at Disney who got the email, I'll speak off record, just said they thought it was a phishing email. Like they were reporting.
Oh my gosh.
This is not a real email. Because what?
It's so shocking.
That's crazy news. And I mean, just it's interesting because there's been so much celebration in the community and kind of across everywhere. I do not know the man personally, and these big, huge machines are big, and it's hard to really pinpoint the blame of who and this and that. But we do have some pretty specific examples of where things did not feel like they went right. There's
just out of touch decisions and behavior.
Yeah, ScarJo. The ScarJo incident was probably one of the biggest that got out there, and just the whole overnight change that Bob Iger recommended. Hey, we're not going to have all decisions going to Kareem anymore. We're going to have it going to the studio heads and people who are leading the creative. Just super fascinating to see it, and I'm like some prediction. No, maybe we'll do it in the prediction show. We'll do it. We'll do it in the prediction show. I have a prediction about Bob Iger and how long he'll actually stay.
Well, he has a 2-year contract now.
Yeah, but so we'll see how it goes. I mean,
we have to predict who will replace him.
Yeah, we'll come up with a few things.
Yeah.
Around that for the prediction show January 9th.
With some flashy graphics.
I mean, guys, you all lived it. I know we have a lot of people watching right now. What'd you think of Bob Iger replacing Bob Chapek? And it's really messed up because in my head I want to say Bob Chapek, Paycheck, but I mixed them up. But I mean, gosh, and the canceling of the Don't Say Gay bill. I mean, just there are public examples that rub people the wrong way. And it's exciting to see just a change happen like that, and you're kind of bringing back, Luke Skywalker walks in. Bob Iger and the Iger years were pretty great, if you look at the totality of brought Disney or bought Marvel, bought
Lucasfilm.
Lucasfilm. I mean, those are huge gets for them. It's all good to me. Love it. Hey, Alan. Hey, Alan. So interesting to see. And what are the decisions? It's going to take a while to see what's going to get done. I know that I'm sure everything's going to be revisited. Interesting news, just because it does affect us, is he was asked point blank in a town hall meeting about Disney park reservation, and he basically said, "I'm going to talk to Josh about that," which was basically like a clear indication of like
he doesn't even know about it.
Yeah, like the people who are in leadership positions really are running the show. I'm here to guide them. So
yeah,
I think that there has been a lot of
here's
APEC, but versus the people who probably are making those decisions, and then there's, sorry, go ahead, Andy.
The dirty secret about reservations and also all the mobile ordering stuff and Genie Plus and Lightning Lane, as much as we hate them and they're bad for the guest experience, they are making the company. That's where those record profits are coming from. It's not necessarily from increased attendance. It's from the increased extraction of dollars from the current attendance.
And I'll just say I have no issue with mobile order. And now I'm like,
it's not great here. It's not great. If you walk up to like Pim's lab and there's literally no one there, you can't just walk up and order. You have to go through the mobile, and it's like and then it's like, oh, you're going to be ready in 45 minutes. And like, there's nobody here. Like, why is it going to be 45 minutes?
Yeah, I mean,
it's infuriating.
I will tell you, I did have an interesting experience. I was at Disneyland like a month ago, and we want to do like the Market Cafe or Market Square. I forget what it's called in New Orleans, but and
French Market.
And so I got the motor order, and it's like, okay, it's gonna be ready in an hour or 45 minutes. Like, it was way out there. And then we walked
and there was nobody there, right?
No, yeah, we could have just gone right in. And so I was like, this should just not be open. And they gave us our food in like plastic bags to go, and it's like, I want it like the gumbo
with the tray.
Yeah, it's like, no, like nuts. So I'd say they haven't quite figured it out at Disneyland. Here at Disney World, it's like, it's neither here nor there. And it's like a 50% distribution now. We're maybe more like 70-30, where like 70% is cash registers and 30% is mobile order. So I don't mind it. And it's another pro tip to anybody watching. So like, for those that are drinkers out there, if you're at like Walt Disney World and you go to Connections Cafe and it says mobile order in 15 minutes, and all you want is a beer, because it's the beer stands don't have the premium High IPA, just order it on your app and just go, hey, I just have a beer. Can you get it to me? And they'll just give it to you right away. So yeah, some pro tips. If you have like a really small order that doesn't require, food, it's probably more a drink thing. So you can do that. Clayton Davis. My first thought was, man, they really won't let him retire. Yeah, like, who do you hand over the company to at this point? It's so interesting. So Bob Iger's in, it's going to be very interesting to see how that affects things. It feels like the whole Disney company was like paused and shaken up during the pandemic, right? Like, what, I don't know what the new attractions are, what their 4 or 5 year announced plan is. It's so vague. After D23.
It really felt like back in February or March of 2020 and last year, 2 years ago now, almost 3 now, where Iger just sort of like tossed the keys of the car keys to Chapek and was like, all right, good luck, kid.
Yeah. And it was a tough thing. It was kind of like a lame duck thing. He's like, you have your old boss hanging around. You don't want that, right? You want to you want to make changes. So we'll see what happens. It's kind of one of these things where, like you were kind of inferring, Bob Chapek had the helm for 2 years during probably the, biggest shock to hit system than anything. It's one thing to have like tourism go down, but you always have your movies side. But movies, we know that cord cutting's happening. Cable's on the way out. So what a crazy time to try to be in charge. And I will just say, and it's been said by smarter people than me, but a creative person needs to be in charge of this company.
Yeah.
It is a content creation company. And it can be said to have somebody, have a really creative chief operating or a chief executive officer, or have a chief creative officer, and then have an operating officer to run the business. But you need that creative. We know that during the
Eisner and Wells.
Eisner era with Wells. It worked out very well. People say that Bob Iger was able to kind of balance both, which is great. But bring in somebody who's creative. And we could talk a little bit more about it during during the prediction show, because I don't actually think anything's going to get announced this year, next year. But what would be your dream chief creative person or whoever to take over that side of the company and just be that leader?
Man, I don't know. I'm still of the belief that there's a distinct possibility that Apple could be buying Disney next year, and then you have Tim Cook is sort of the CEO of Apple Disney. I don't know. But I don't know. I feel like you do need somebody creative. I don't see, I don't know if Josh tomorrow has had the opportunity to make any like wildly creative big decisions for the parks. He's much more well liked than Chapek was. And I think it's a real shame that Tom Staggs was overlooked in favor of Chapek. I think he would have been a much better fit. He was more on the creative side than, Chapek just being a numbers guy. And a lot of people don't realize too is at the heart Disney is a creative organization, but they are also highly, highly data driven by guest surveys and all kinds of information gathering like that, and data mining from Disney Plus and things like that. So a lot of big decisions are backed up by hard data that they have.
Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest, my biggest qualm with Apple buying Disney is that Apple and Disney are just completely, like, operating a theme park and designing and selling an iPhone, which is basically what they do. Everything else is just supporting that. Very different things. So it's kind of, Bob Iger also shut it down, saying, no, I just don't think that it benefits anyone. Don't even know if they would allow it. It would be allowed. So I'm more of, like, what would you say if like Jon Favreau was the chief creative officer of Disney? Theme park fan.
Oh, chief creative officer? Yeah, sure. Yeah, but I mean, CEO is different, then you have a chief. Then if you had like a chief operations officer like Tomorrow or somebody like that, who has experience, operating a large business, sure. And then you have, somebody like, I think Jon Favreau would be good. He's really shepherded the Disney Star Wars brand in a big way in the last 4 or 5 years, with some hits and misses.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and Kevin Feige and him created the MCU. With Iron Man and the Fallout. He just doesn't play. He plays more than happy.
What if Kevin Feige came to be, he ascended from just Marvel Studios to, running the show Disney creatively, maybe?
That's also on my short list of people to do it. It's such an interesting thing of like, why and how would you bring somebody from the outside to do it?
No, you couldn't. It's got to be somebody from, 20, 30 years experience at Disney at least.
Yeah. Well, and my thought is it needs to be somebody that knows entertainment. Like, I think that like the lifeblood of the company is content creation, and theme parks tend to follow that. And in the next, okay, we're going to bring that experience to life. So it needs to be somebody that can understand Hollywood.
Somebody with good instincts, and somebody who has good instincts and can, follow them and use them.
Yeah. Well, we have a comment from Alan. We're just talking about the Bobs. I think he wasn't so much of an unlikable guy. People might have been more understandable if he wasn't so much of an unlikable. I mean, I don't know, unlike or dislike. I mean, I think that like,
I don't need the CEO of Disney to be my buddy, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what. Yeah, I mean, Bob Iger's just been Bob Iger and like a nebulous thing, in my head. He was CEO when I was working there, and maybe he'd pop in on the side, but it wasn't, wasn't a corporate employee. But I'm very interested to see what the next 2 years are like. We haven't seen any big shake. I mean, we saw the shake up instead of just like a plan to make a plan. But now he's, getting back on the, but talk about hitting the ground running, right? Just like, oh, hey, they're warming up the cappuccino for him. He's like, here you go, sir. And, jump in the helm. But I mean, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but hey, Charlie, pretty crazy just the way that it happened. It's one thing to say, hey, I'm going to go spend time with my family and have it come from the person that's kind of leaving, maybe having a 3-month period, but just outright.
Effective immediately. We'll send you your shit. We don't want you here anymore.
Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting because a lot of people look at like company CEOs and say, oh, they shouldn't be paid 10, 20 million. And coincidentally, Iger's basically taking almost no pay, like a few million in stock maybe, but he already owns a lot of the company from all of his things he's done. And just, it's very interesting to see, why does it make sense that, this A-Rod is paid hundreds of millions of dollars? Well, they're good and they bring in attendance. And people don't really question it too much about athletes. And so for me, it's like the CEOs of these big companies really are providing value. And if you want to, question that, go ahead and ask Bob Chapek,
Yeah. I mean, I think I don't have a problem with big CEO pay, because especially with a company like Disney, which is one of the biggest companies in the world, there's an incredible amount of responsibility, both public and private and fiduciary, and to the tens of thousands of employees that you are the boss of. Essentially, there's an incredible amount of responsibility and experience that is required to do that job. And I think that the pay is commensurate with that, $10-20 million. I mean, especially if you're doing a good job. But I mean, it is a little hard to swallow when you've got somebody like Chapek who's essentially just been unceremoniously fired in the most public way possible, and he's still going to get this giant payout of like what, $50 million or something like that. It's just like, oh, that's nice. Enjoy your retirement.
Well, and it just shows that like, you are so invaluable to this company that we are going to pay you to not be here anymore.
Yeah.
They just need a contract.
Yeah.
Damien, friend of the show, good to hear you. Good to see you. Buddy is one thing, but that means like having him as your buddy. But being interviewed by media offered zero charisma and some outright tone deaf responses that surrounded strictly on financial numbers and zero on PR writers. So
yeah. I don't know. I mean, I listened to that earnings call, and it was so cringy and so awful and just so tone deaf. I mean, it was shocking. It was really shocking for an earnings call, for a Disney earnings call.
Yeah. Okay, so big. Excuse me. We talk about the big shakers, big movers. Bob Chapek out. Bob Iger in. Very interesting to see. Kind of a Thanksgiving. It was an interesting thing to happen around the holidays, Thanksgiving. Let's talk about the new year. So it's December 12th. Holidays are coming up. About a week. Most schools are closed. I mean, corporate America is already grinding to a halt right now.
I saw an incredible tweet that said the last day of business in Los Angeles for entertainment is the Friday before Thanksgiving, and boy, is that true. Yeah. Every correspondence that I've had has, in the last 2 weeks has been like, we'll circle back after the holidays. It's like, of course we will.
Yeah,
that's fine. It's normal.
I will say, I mean, I think IAPA should be sooner in the year. I don't think it should be right up until Thanksgiving, basically to December. That's out. So yeah, I don't know why I made me think of that, but I've been saying that, like, I think they need to do it IAPA 2 weeks earlier, 2 weeks earlier, so that it's not bumping up.
I think I would love that if it was in October, just in the middle of October, so I could come and see my shows that I work on.
It'll be fun. It'd be a change of pace for them. Yeah, it would be as cooler, but I mean, the weather was pretty nice during IAPA.
That was great. Yeah, it didn't rain once.
So Andy, on a personal note, we can wrap up the show with this. Any New Year's resolutions or goals that we can check next year on January, in December of 2023.
Wow. So we're doing predictions now.
New Year's resolutions or goals you may have, not a prediction, a goal or a resolution.
Let's see. I hadn't really thought about New Year's resolutions other than make more money.
Make more money. How?
Yeah.
But how? Yeah.
That's a good question. Yeah. No. I can't talk too much about what stuff might be coming up for me, but I'm very optimistic. I would say more than cautiously optimistic, like regular optimistic.
Yeah.
That next year is going to be certainly better than this year. This is a rough year for me personally, professionally, and I'm looking forward to next year. The calendar year is such an arbitrary marker, but it is one that we all have agreed on, that it is an important milestone with the holidays and the way that the culture works and things like that. But I think that good things are coming for myself and a lot of people that I know. I think, like I said, I think this year, 2022, I think was the we've taxied onto the runway, and I think that the entertainment plane is taking off again. I feel like New Year's Eve is like going to be like wheels up on the industry. And I think next year is going to be great, leading up to the 25 opening of Epic Universe. And, there's the SeaWorld Abu Dhabi park opening. I think, big things are coming, and beyond that as well, because now that the stuff that's going to come after those big openings is starting now.
No, that's great. All right.
How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I had a kid this year, baby Max.
Yeah, you did. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
A lot of people I know had children this year. There was Alex had a child this year as well, and yeah,
it's like there was a pandemic boom. It's like, oh, I'm unemployed. Let me have a baby. So I'd say for me, definitely, I mean, my wife has been doing an amazing job and like being the primary caregiver, and definitely want to try to do more. Dial back a little bit. I've been doing a lot lately, quite a lot, with gift supply starting up and all that. So really hoping to spend as much time as I can off burdening my wife, who's doing so much. And Maximus is super cute. I should have pulled some photos up, but he's super adorable and super cute. Look forward to meeting him, Andy, at some point in time. Professionally, so I have gift supply going, which is really great. This is a huge push right now, these last 2 weeks for Christmas.
How's that going? Is it going good?
Yeah, we actually have a pop-up shop at the Mall of America, pop-up car.
I saw that.
Cool. Yeah, it's cool. Been doing some farmers markets out here and all that, and of course online we're selling it. It's cool. It was really. I mean, well, I'll probably have to give it some more time to really chat about it. But just the idea that through the past year was able to work with really cool artists I've always wanted to work with again, or bring work to who are out of work, was really cool. So that, for those that are watching it, Gift Supply is a nonprofit inspired wrapping paper and greeting card company I started with my friend Patrick Feeney, and it's really cool. Oh, sorry, Damien has. You're ridiculously talented, Andy. Here's 2023. Can't wait to see you. Yeah, don't want to live it. So
thanks, Damien.
Inspired wrapping paper, Gift Supply, and I still do consulting work on the side, so which is really cool. I've been still working with Storyland Studios for a while, so hope that keeps going. Really having a lot of time, fun time with them.
Yeah, I did some work with them as well, as you know, and they have a lot of interesting projects, and I really hope that some of the stuff that we've been working on sees the light of day.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, you and me both. So I'm looking forward to more creative writing, story development, story editing, and also keeping the irons burning and fire going with Gift Supply and Big Break Foundation and TTV. So really, it's just keeping it going, right? I mean, that's been a thing we've talked about, since we started the year. Okay, what are we gonna do this year for TTV? And we did that the other day. And we have a lot of great shows planned for the network coming up. A lot of big attractions opening up this year. And we're going to be covering them. We got a lot of cool engagement, and we want to keep the fire burning. There's always something to talk about. I always think of like what differentiates us. And I after the Bob Chapek thing, I started really going down like a Disney YouTube rabbit hole. Watching people react and the reaction to the reaction, and WD or WDWNT. What Walt Disney World News Today and all these shows. And what really separates us is that. While they may have insider knowledge, we really bring a theme park designer perspective to it, and really are able to come at it with that angle, which I think is really cool and something that we prided ourselves from the very beginning. Over 2 years ago, 2 years ago, which is
Amazing.
crazy. Well, Andy, any closing thoughts for 2022? Would you like to give it a big middle finger, or what do you think?
Well, I'd like to express my gratitude to our TETV team. We have a lot of great stuff coming up, like you mentioned. We've got some shows coming back, maybe even this year still.
Yeah.
And then certainly in the coming year, I think you'll see some more content from us. And as always, I want to thank CJ and Trevor and Charlie for doing such a great job producing our show. As always, I think they're already gone now. I think Charlie had, they all left because they have real jobs they have to do.
Yeah.
But I'm very grateful for all the work that they do and their friendship, and also for you and your ongoing support of TETV and everything that we do. And it's I couldn't and wouldn't do this without you.
I appreciate you. And we'll have to do another Vegas trip. I think we got that in 2022, or maybe it was 2021. I can't recall. One big thing I will say, folks, is come back January 9th. I guess it's a little under a month. The next 3 weeks are all just gone under the bridge. In 2022, at the very beginning of the year, Andy and I gave
23. Oh, sorry. Yes.
Yeah, no, going back in time, made a lot of predictions, and we're going to review them. It's going to be fun. We're going to show clips of us, what we predicted. Sometimes I'm sure we're horribly wrong. Sometimes maybe we're accurate, which should be fun to see. And then we're going to make some new predictions. I love these prediction shows. I think it's just a really fun concept. Just really go a year, and we're established for years.
It's like a virtual dunk tank show.
Yeah. It's crazy. We've lived through 2 presidents, an insurrection,
3 British prime ministers.
3 British prime ministers. We've been through a lot, folks. So we're gonna do that January 9th, Monday to January 9th. Set your clocks, set your schedules. Appreciate you all watching the show, sharing this, watching it. Follow us, social media channels, and stay tuned for more in the big year. We have a lot of great shows. We should be at least every month be having our flagship show of Untitled Entertainment Design Show. We were like, we're going to start at a month, and then we started penciling out all the people that want to come on the show, and it was like, maybe we got to do more than that. So,
but yeah, at least 1 show a month, probably 2 for the most months.
Yeah, probably be 2. We appreciate that. And well, Andy, we didn't even get to talk about it, but why not? Why not? We could keep talking about it. What was your experience being at IAPA and having people recognize you from TETV? What was that experience like?
Well, it was new for me, and I all over the show floor and at various venues outside of the show floor, people came up to me and they recognized me from the show. Especially there was a group from Purdue at the Storyland booth that I met, and they were like really starstruck, and they're like, "We've seen every show." I'm like, "Wow, I haven't."
Oh, yeah, no. And you lived it, though, Andy. You lived it.
Yeah. But so I'm told. But yeah, it was something. It was really. I mean, I wanted to express this when we were talking about IAPA an hour ago, but 2 of my favorite things about IAPA, besides the pinball, were meeting fans of the show and the network, and hearing about how it has enriched their personal and professional lives with the knowledge that we have dispersed and experience that we have talked about, and all of the incredible guests that we've had on to talk about their knowledge and experience as well for their careers and projects and whatnot. And I sometimes I don't really realize the depth and breadth of the influence that we have here on TETV and with the shows that we've done and with all of the incredible content that we have created. That's all still up there available for free as an incredible educational resource. So that was really satisfying to hear. And also it was really great to meet a lot of people that we collaborated with both here on the network and also for me personally on a variety of projects that I worked on, where I only met some of my colleagues that I worked very close with virtually, and then I finally met them in person, and that was very emotional.
Yeah, no, that was the same with me. It was fun to see all sorts of new people who I hadn't known, because I've been working a lot more this past year than I was the year prior in 20. Well, I kind of already had my clicky group from Nickelodeon that I knew, and then it was like, oh, I don't work there anymore.
Right.
So I got to figure out how do I evolve.
Who are you without them, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's they're fun people, and I got to hang out with them at IAP a little bit. But yeah, you know, it's like, oh, I'm the Nickelodeon guy, or I'm the music guy, or I'm the this guy, and then that dried up for a lot of people. And then, okay, how do I find myself? What am I? And being able to kind of get the nod of, oh yeah, I want to work with you or whatever is really important. So yeah, I mean, IAPA is a really great experience, a really rejuvenating thing, and then you forget about it after the Thanksgiving Day turkey. They got to push it back. I think you're right. October would be a good, like late October, not the week of Halloween, but it'd be good.
Yeah, the week before Halloween, I think would just be perfect.
Yeah. Well, 2023 is going to continue to be, hopefully the year we want to make it. I will say that, Trevor got a gig, and it was really great to see after many months of trying to pivot industries for him to get a job.
Years.
Years really. It was cool to see that, okay, yeah, they're taking chances, they're doing it. So for those that are out there looking for work, as long as you're not a writer or a concept illustrator, you probably have a job for 5 years. Everybody else that's in that group, we got some work to do. No, so really, we appreciate everybody in the show and who watches and keeps it up. We had a great year with Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm sure we'll be able to get on some good guests this year and keep the next year, keep the energy going. But happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, happy Christmas, happy Festivus.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. And we'll see you on January 9th. We'll be back. Prediction show. Sound good, Eddie?
Sounds great. Happy New Year, everybody.
All right. Bye, everybody.